Well, folks, back to you again. Talking about what you might say. Well, hate speech, I say. But is there really such thing? That's a good question. I was talking about it just over a month ago when the little leprechaun himself decided to go out and promote the leprechaun law sponsored by Lad Bible Ireland. And, you know, if you really trace the roots of that, all that sponsorship, it goes back to Europe. And now that makes sense because the European government have put will call it an order on the Irish government that we have to introduce hate speech laws within 2 months, or there'll be serious ramifications from the cult that is the European Parliament, and nobody's talking about it. And what they're not also talking about when it comes to it is, why is Europe making such a stance to make sure that Ireland introduces the hurty word legislation? Because it's not about hurty words. Don't you be mistaken for 1 second and think that a politician cares about your feelings online, because they don't. They don't care about your feelings in general. They don't care about your own freedoms, rights, or entitlements in your own country that you were born and reared in. No, they don't care about that. What they do care about is your ability to be able to question their behaviours on what is occurring in Ireland or what's occurring across Europe, which is, you know, the systematic invasion of economic migrants being forced into small towns and villages in Ireland, with, I suppose, a total amount of centres, somewhere in the region of around 300 specific centres for young, unvetted economic migrant men. And that's the sentence they don't want being said. They also don't want the sentences being said that the most common traits of the criminalities being caused by these unvetted economic migrant men are sexual crimes against women. It's not just Irish women, it's obviously women of different ethnicities that are living within Ireland. But it is obviously primarily white Irish women who are suffering the wrath, as it is going on in Germany, the UK, and so on and so forth. And there is no limit, when I say no limit, no minor limit, to the females they will attack. They are attacking young girls as young as 13. Just let you think about that there. And that's not me talking, untrue facts. The crimes are there. And with judges like the likes of Judge Nolan, you can be sure that none of these men are ever going to serve any prison time in Ireland, because he's very adamant in the fact that he fully supports a man's rights, particularly, we'll call it, an economic male migrant's rights to rape and pillage as he pleases in a country that is supporting him, housing him, financially supporting him, with no expectations to ever contribute to that society. And the left will come at me and say, oh, they're here to work, they're engineers, they're doctors, they're scam artists, they're the scum of Europe. They are a plague on Europe like locusts on a crop. That's what they are. If, you know, the Islamic religion was so beautiful and they all appreciated each other so much, why are the other Arab states refusing to take any of them? Because they know it. They're dogs. They behave worse than dogs. They have no respect for any society. They have no respect for women. And they have no respect for the law of the land, because the law of the land is not something they answer to. They answer to their good book. But when you ask them which book they're referring to, you have to be sure as to which writer of the edition they're referring to. Because there are many versions, no different than in a lot of religions. It might be all the one story, but everyone's telling it a different way to suit their own narrative. And that's the problem when you're dealing with extremists. That's why they want the hurty word legislation in Ireland. They don't want people putting up posts showing what is going on in Ireland and the behaviour of these economic migrant men that are unvetted, that are being forced into Ireland, that are, you know, the cash cow for every politician with property. They are the cash cow for all the investors who got bailed out by NAMA and the banks going back to our last crash. The ones who are profiteering now off the taxpayer, you and me. They don't want any questioning of that, but they want to bring it back to basics. your own personal WhatsApp messages amongst friends, group chats, whether it's online, if you decide to start sending a couple of slightly dark humour, racist reels, that will be all deemed as hate speech. Okay, just think about that. Just really, really think about that. But it goes even more basic than that, that if you disagree with a politician or you question a politician and they deem that it's hateful towards them, which is what we witnessed quite recently with a certain politician who didn't want to talk to, some journalists who actually know how to perform their journalistic duties, which is to question a politician and make them answer for, their behaviour, their complete lack of respect for the people that they're supposed to represent. When it all comes down to it, that's what it's going to restrict. It's going to restrict your freedom to be able to question the narrative, to question the politician, to question the authority that are not properly representing and looking after you. That's what it is. And that's why it's so vital that it doesn't go ahead. You have to remember that the reason it was cancelled the last time round was because Helen McEntee could not define what hate speech was. There is no defining it because it is down to a person's own personal interpretation of what they deem hateful or, oppressing towards them. And at the end of the day, guys, let's call a spade a spade. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got them. But nobody really cares about yours. It's up to your own. You justify it whichever way you want. Justify it whichever way you want. Okay? It is a case of sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You need to all grow up, drink a cup of concrete and harden the fuck up, buttercups. Because there is hard times ahead. And that's definitely going to be seen, I think, in the next couple of years. And people are going to be laughing in the comments, it's just a hate speech legislation. If the only reason that you're opposing is because you want to be racist, I don't want to be racist at all. I don't want to be racist at all. I work with some amazing people and have worked with some amazing people that were non-nationals in Ireland that came here to work very, very hard, earn a good living and contribute to society. And if not, they at least went home and contributed to their own society. They didn't come here to just, bleed the place dry of all our resources, leave it in a mess, and move on to the next crop or cash cow of a country where they can pillage, rape, and destroy all before them and have no proper ramifications taken upon them. That's why it is so important that we still have the freedom online, have the freedom in person and at political events, question and answers on TV. We are dealing with a state broadcaster that refuses to speak about what the Irish people really think. They will never ever post the truth. They are not posting any of these crimes committed by these economic migrants. They'll only ever highlight when an Irishman does something wrong. I'm not saying Irishmen are perfect. We're not. Have we criminals in this country that are born and bred here? Of course we do. Every country does. But we deal with them for the most part, except in the case of Judge Nolan, who obviously supports paedophiles and so on and so forth, and males who commit horrendous assaults against women. He's fully supportive of that. But he will lock you up if you have a fisticuffs match outside the local bar on a Saturday night. Guys, you need to really think about it all. You need to start writing to your local politicians. You need to contact whoever you need to contact to say how much you really oppose this. And when it comes, do not go silent. Stay talking, stay speaking the truth, stay having your conversations in small groups, and let's hope that that conversation gets bigger. And that's all we can hope for. So, yeah, it's the one freedom they shouldn't be able to take away from you, but they are going to try. What?